Over 50 years ago, Marshall McLuhan coined the term, "the medium is the message," by which he meant that the way in which we consume information, the channel through which we consume it, is more significant than the information itself. So the introduction of the telephone, for example, was more significant than any subsequent phone call made on it. Likewise for the radio, for television, and of course nowadays for social media. Now, as a marketer, I have slightly mixed feelings about this. In particular with social media, I feel like companies are very often guilty of diving on it without a clear sense of what it is they actually want to say. They jump straight on it just out of fear that they're going to fall behind their competitors. I also believe that if you're able to nail the content, to nail the messaging, then to some extent, the individual channels will take care of themselves. However, that is of course a slight oversimplification, and I, like many marketers, would probably benefit from occasionally reminding myself of McLuhan's mantra. After all, it is the channel that will determine not only to a large extent who will see that content, but also the duration with which they will consume that information, the format in which the content will need to be presented, the significance, the gravitas that they will attach to that content. So for example, an advert within a magazine is likely to make a far greater impact than an advert at the bottom of a YouTube video. But perhaps most importantly, it will determine, the channel will determine the objective and the key performance indicator that we will use to monitor that objective. So for example, if the goal is to maximize brand reach, then radio or Instagram might be most appropriate. Whereas if the goal is to capture email addresses and nurture those relationships online, then almost certainly something like a blog or resources, etc., are going to be far more effective. So to a large extent, I would have to concede that McLuhan was probably onto something. However, I still maintain, particularly nowadays where we see new platforms emerging almost weekly, that it is those companies that are able to really nail their content and their messaging that are going to be around for the next platform and for the next 50 after that. See you next time.